Okay, let's go.
I think you might like this one.
Yes.
Hello there, ChickChatters. We're back with a story of the week. This one is Hello, co-founder and president. You know, I took my title off like episodes ago.
Oh, I'm keeping my title. It was given to me by you, so keeping it.
Oh, I might have to put mine back then or maybe change it. ChickChatters, do remember that we have a subscriber goal still, 250, and we're very close to this goal.
So
Very
close. Thank you to our new subscribers. Welcome, welcome. This
Yes.
is kind of our channel corner here at Story of the Week. We do some of our updates here. We did a few in our Sister Wives videos, but this is where we do most of our updates. We say
Mhm.
hello, things like that. So thanks for being here. We hope you enjoy our stories.
We just give our takes on random posts on Reddit. Like,
Yes, they're not our stories. They're stories
Not-
we find.
yeah, not our stories, not stories of people we know that we know of, at least.
Mhm.
So, all anonymous. So, this week we have another Am I the Asshole story. This one's from 4 years ago. And it's titled, Am I the Asshole for Pretending to Get Fired When Customers Get a Temper with Me? It begins. I am a high schooler with a weekend job at a coffee shop. My coworkers who work weekends are James, the owner's son. He goes to my school. He's a shift manager, but it's not a real formal thing. He's just a friendly guy. Danielle, a college student who sometimes works weekends too. So sometimes customers will come in and just be angry about such little stuff, like literally blow up about nothing. I don't know if they're in a bad mood already and looking for someone to take it out on or what, but it's a lot. Like, how sad are you to have to be a grown ass man taking your anger out on a high school and college kids? So James and I were joking and about having a little fun with them and hopefully getting them off our backs. So one day I was at work and some guy was having a temper about how we didn't make the coffee hot enough, which I couldn't do a thing about because I gave it to him right out of the machine. So James came in and was like, Sir, is there a problem here? And the guy started ranting at him too. So he just was like, OP, this is unacceptable. You're fired. And then I started acting real sad, like, no, please don't fire me. My family needs the money. I need this job, please. And he started playing up being a hard ass, telling me to take off my apron and leave. The angry guy started to backtrack, like, it isn't that big of a problem. You don't need to fire her over it. I didn't mean it. And James was like, no, we pride ourselves on the best customer service. Of course, after all the drama, I still had my job. We were just acting and we'd done it a couple times. Whenever a customer will lose their temper at Danielle or I, James will storm in and fire us.
What?
And almost every time, the person who had come in angry will apologize and say that they didn't mean it. It's kind of satisfying making people realize their actions might actually have consequences. Anyway, I'm telling my friends from school about this, and a few of them thought it was a mean prank to let some of them go away thinking that they had gotten someone who desperately needed the money fired. Am I the asshole for this joke?
I don't know. I mean, I think the people who are walking in being assholes are assholes.
Yeah.
We both have worked in customer service. I think we both know exactly the people that are being discussed, and they're not kind. I mean, they're less than kind. They're awful. And it's not fair. And I don't think that just for a paycheck, people should be screaming at you about coffee or burgers or eggs or whatever service that you're providing that day.
Right. And don't be mad at me. I'm a server. Call your government, call your local congressman, write OSHA, write all of the people who make the temperatures of what needs to be. I don't know. But
Mhm.
there's just some type of way that it's not my fault. I fucking hand you the one thing to another. That's all I do. One thing to another. I'm sorry. I'm triggered.
I don't blame you.
You know,
Most of the things that these people are getting bitched at about, I'm sure, are not anything, like you said, that's really even within their control. People are probably complaining about prices and the temperature of something that, they just got. It's not like at coffee shops, things just sit around waiting. You make the coffee to order
Right.
at any coffee shop I've ever seen. So it's just no. I think this is a hilarious prank. I think the fact that they're sitting here having these little acting moments with each other as a staff, I mean, bravo to them, I guess. I don't think it's the nicest way to go about things, but I mean, it sounds like it shuts people up pretty well. It sounds like they change their story up really quick. You get a lot more honesty out of them that way. So I'm
Yeah,
not mad at it.
I will say I have always said working in the service industry that I try not to judge even the tables that are the hardest because I like to think. I love to think. My enabler mind loves to think that people just had a really bad day or they got some really bad news or just like the absolute worst. Like I like to think that something had to have happened to them today to be this
Mhm.
mean. So,
Mhm.
and if I can't let myself believe that, I have nothing. And if I had nothing, I would be playing fired every day too.
Yeah, I don't think that these people are the assholes for playing this little prank. It's probably the least that they can do with some of the pretty miserable things people say to them. And honestly, I get what her friends are saying. It's probably not the nicest thing to make somebody think that they got them fired, but I think people need to experience some of the consequences of their actions. If you're complaining about all these fast food workers all the time, what do you expect that they're not going to get
Mhm.
reprimanded? Maybe it happens in front of you. And
Yeah.
honestly, if the worst thing that's gonna happen is these people are gonna walk away with the perception that maybe they got somebody fired, I don't think that that's the worst thing in the world to have.
Mhm.
Worst things have happened.
Yeah, I mean, I know at Chick-fil-A, if they don't say "my pleasure," that they get in a lot of trouble for that, like, you get a free sandwich and all that stuff if you call it out, and I'm like, "Man, I kinda feel bad, I don't want people to get in trouble because they didn't say 'my pleasure.'"
I
Like,
see those signs all the time in, like, different places when you're cashing out, and it'll say, "If I didn't do your exact change or repeat your exact whatever, then ask me for a free cookie," or, like,
yeah,
some kind of BS. I see that a lot. I saw that a lot more maybe 10 or 5 years ago, but I still see
mhm.
it in places, and I've definitely been in situations where the person didn't do what they were supposed to do, and I am not calling that out. Like, how embarrassing for
Yeah,
me, not for the employee, for me.
it really
Like,
is,
who
because honestly,
cares?
if you've never worked in the food industry specifically, not even customer service in general, but the food industry specifically, people are very strange about food. You could get
People are
anything,
just strange, but yeah.
and everybody eats, so you get every type of personality you can think of, even the
The
get of
ones who don't leave
Italian.
their house very often, they still come out to a restaurant once in a while,
Right,
or a
and
coffee shop or
some
whatever.
they go somewhere and they consume food and
Mhm,
beverage.
mhm.
They come out of their caves in their slumber, and they come to terrorize the servants.
And if the worst thing in the world is that they walked away with the impression that maybe they got somebody fired that day, first of all, I think some of those people might be more pleased with themselves than these friends are willing to know. But
Yeah.
again, I think maybe they'll think twice before they walk in somewhere and start treating people like garbage or complaining about things that aren't actually legitimate.
Well, I know they don't have clearance to be doing this for sure because this manager is also in high school. He's just the owner's son. So I don't know if the owner knows this is going on.
Probably
I
not.
think
I
that
doubt it.
this is just some type of little social experiment that they are doing and they're honing in on their improv. I would love
Good
to
for
see
them.
it.
Bravo.
I know, I would love to see it.
Your
Where
apron off right now.
I want to know where they work so I can make a complaint. Love to see it happen. I mean, I would be down for something like this usually for dependent. Because I do also like to give people the benefit of the doubt. I am a glutton for empathy.
Me too. I'm always like you said, you never know what people are going through. One of my favorite sayings is be kind. You never know what kind of day somebody is having. And I definitely believe that. But I also believe that it goes both ways. I
Yeah.
remember all the times that I ever got emotional or really upset or worked up when I was serving or in some kind of service job. I remember that saying always being at the top of my mind because I usually am a pretty happy person. When I was working, especially serving, I was a pretty easygoing waitress. Things didn't bother me. But there's days where, like, you're not having your best day, and I feel like things get under your skin, and I just remember thinking that a lot. These people have no idea what I'm could be going through. I could have just lost my grandparent, which I did one of the days that I had to work all day long. It's like people have lives too. Just because
Right.
they're serving you, bacon or coffee or a muffin doesn't mean that they might not be going through something. You have a legitimate argument to bring to them that they can fix for you, keep your mouth shut.
Right. Unless it's like, can I remake something for you or whatever, then just move along, you know? I don't know. I enjoy the prank. I love a good prank.
I
I
think it's hilarious. I had a good time listening to you read this because it's so funny. And the fact that these people are all of a sudden like, "Oh, no, no, everything's fine." Then what are you doing? What are you actually doing right now to all these people for no reason? You're just gonna come in here. Does that make you feel good? There's something actually wrong with you. And
yeah.
again, if the worst thing is that you're gonna walk away with the impression that maybe you got somebody fired, like, I think worse things hopefully are coming karmically.
And they do say right now that Gen Z is the hardest employee to have. They seem
Mm,
to make up their own rules and do their own thing. So
mhm,
this is that. This is what
yeah.
we get now.
So,
Teenagers are testing us, you guys.
they are
So
making I mean, these are interesting I'm not mad at these rules.
I mean, to be honest with you, the high schoolers, they're just really testing their customers. I mean, if you feel bad about whatever you've done and the way you conduct yourself to strangers who didn't do anything to you, even though you're having a whatever day, that's on you, right?
Mhm.
So if you feel away, then you should feel away. If it's a lesson for you, it's got to be a lesson for you. Here, look at the high schoolers teaching lessons instead of getting them.
I like it. I'm behind it. I think high schoolers and teenagers in general, regardless of the generation, I feel like they always have a way of teaching us something new. And you know what? If they're looking at work like this is something that could change, then I'm willing to see what they have to change. I'm down for this. I'm down
Yeah.
for all the people in the service industry faking getting fired just to make people feel bad and say like, "Oh,
Yeah.
just kidding. I was just being an asshole."
And get
So,
off this customer is always right mentality. Y'all
yeah.
need to get a grip over your food though, for real. Like I understand that sometimes things don't go your way and things suck. Because I've been on the bad end of a lot of bad deals. Taco Bell specifically many times. But I mean, like you go forward, like you'll order there again and you'll have another bad day later down the road. Nobody's perfect. And
Why ruin someone else's day about it?
right. And honestly, it's just food. It's food. I've been hit over a McMuffin before. Assaulted over a egg McMuffin.
I know.
Monsters. An 18-year-old Anne. Come on, you
Mhm.
guys. Do
Yeah.
better.
I think these kids are out to make the world better, one fake firing at a time, I think. What I don't wanna see, though, is one of these people come back in a couple of days and see that this girl was not fired and see how they respond then, because
No, they
you're
should
gonna
be
have to.
happy. I'd be like, "You know what? We decided to take
You're
her
right.
back after everything." If it's a
Like,
mom and pop type business where the father owns it and the kid's just a manager, he's like his high schooler manager, it's like a mom and pop shop. They ain't nothing they can really do.
right.
At will employer.
Good reverse psychology for the public.
Yep,
Like, you
yep.
really want us to get fired? Okay, you're gonna see it. You're gonna
All
see
the time.
the whole thing. Not
And then
gonna hide it from you.
we'll get fired, then we'll get rehired, and then we'll get fired again to get
Mhm.
rehired. And this will happen until I'm ready to go off to college.
The whole cycle of firing and hiring.
That comment with 37,000 upvotes says, not the asshole. That's a perfect way of dealing with hostile customers. That's it.
I love it.
Love it. Sweet to the
I
point.
completely agree.
I do too. I really enjoy that. Just to the point. I'm not mad at this prank at all. I can see where, yes, you don't want somebody to maybe feel bad for something they didn't actually do, but at the same time,
These
start
people are
second check.
walking in making the workers and the employees feel bad over coffee, over temperatures of coffee, over prices, over things that they can't control. You know what? They deserve to feel a little bit bad too.
They
I
do.
don't see a thing wrong with this the more that I think about it.
I don't see any comments from OP, but OP did delete their profile, so Probably won't see much of it, but we definitely see a lot of horror stories from the service industry in the comment. Might link this story in the description in case people want to go look at some of these horror stories in
It's a good idea.
the comments because there's quite a few, but someone else said, yeah, this is hilarious and hopefully teaches them a lesson, which is really the goal, I think.
Yeah.
As long as it's not done out of malicious intent, but to show people that actions really do have consequences, like that fine young woman said.
Yeah, you can't just be walking in telling people that you have garbage service when you don't apparently have garbage service, because the second these people get fired and they have kids or something to support or a grandma or whatever, like we all do, that's why we all work. Then all of a sudden they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it wasn't that bad."
Another thing, like, you people need to stop going into restaurants and adding things to the menu that aren't there and being like, "Oh, well, I've had this before." Is that his flash?
I
Like,
saw that flash. Is it thunderstorming?
I don't know, not that I can concur, but what were we talking for the flash?
I don't know. It was like Men in Black flash. We both just lost our memory.
I mean, I'm not a fan for letting it go on for, like, decades. I mean, people will catch on eventually, especially if they're repeat customers, but I don't see the harm in doing it a few times to show people it's better to talk about people nicely and to get what you want or whatever. But people are very particular, and y'all need to stop going into restaurants and adding extra stuff. Y'all be adding a lot of extra stuff. Y'all be coming in here, oh, I've had this before at a different Cracker Barrel or a different did this or that like 20 years ago. And I'm like, we've never had it. Never. Like, oh, I got this 3 years ago. I'm like, I've been here for 10. We've never.
I know. Like, I might look young, but I've been here forever. Ain't never been no sausage, purple grape jam jelly.
I may
Toast.
be down to just one day a week, but I'm still present.
Yeah, that's probably one of my biggest pet peeve ones. Well, they
Yeah,
did it for me before. No, they
like,
probably did not. It was probably a different restaurant. Go to that restaurant and order the thing on the menu.
it's like we don't even have the thing to make. It's for me the waffles. Like people always think we have waffles, and we've had waffles. I'm like, the only time they've ever had waffles is like a certain carry out only thing, like a family catering meal or some shit. It's not an actual item on our real menu. But people always come in like, "Oh, we used to have waffles." I'm like, "I think you're thinking of like Denny's or some shit." Like, we have never had waffles.
Or like IHOP or something.
Yeah, I'm like, we've never once. Well, yes, I've gotten them here before. I'm like, you haven't. It's
It's a illusion.
impossible. It's impossible. You got
Impossible.
impossible. You got French toast or you got pancakes. That's it.
That's what we got.
That's what we
Grits
got.
and ham.
We do not even have a waffle maker. There's no way to waffle it.
Oh,
I didn't know
no.
way to scrunch it up. One time, I remember when I was waiting on a table, they asked me about getting a waffle, and they were pretty much like, "Well, why can't you just do waffles instead of pancakes?" I'm like, "We don't have a waffle maker. There's no way to scrunch it up, like 'cause waffles are basically like squarish pancakes that are like I don't know, pressed together."
You have to literally explain the physics of breakfast to these people.
They looked at me so wild that I'm like, I just work here. Like, I
You
don't know.
asked for this.
I don't make the menu. Like, can I get you drinks? You order
Yeah.
from this list.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm like,
that's a flavor, Chick Chatters, of probably some of the stories that you'll see in the comments, because
yeah,
I mean, there's just a plethora. We could go on.
forever.
I don't think there's a hint of assholery going on here, except for the people who are walking in trying to make other people's days bad because they're having a bad day. In this coffee shop, you're going to get what's coming to you. You're going to see a little act, if you will,
Yeah.
and it will induce some emotions.
I would be relieved if I went through this whole experience and then found out that they actually weren't really getting fired and they were just acting. I'd be like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, it's like that one show. What's that show? It's called What Would You Do? The show, What Would
Oh,
You
what would you
Do?
do? Yeah.
It might be nice if maybe at the end they said, haha, you've been pranked or punked, or
You know
what
what? I
would you
almost
do?
wonder the way people are these days. I just wonder if that might have even went worse. Like, get them removed so this way they're relieved and not immediately like, "Why would you do this to me, a paying
That's
customer?"
part of the reason that they probably, like, backpedal about their original complaint is because they probably feel like they're satisfied now, like, their complaint was validated and this
Yeah.
awful coffee employee got fired and has to find a new job. It's not that serious, you guys. It's not.
Some people said you're the asshole. Not the asshole. Deal with it like a professional. If I owned a brick and mortar business and found out that my kid and employee were doing this, you would be fired.
A professional barista.
He said a brick and mortar business, but no, not a professional barista. Food industry hits a little bit different. I'm not trying to say that all the other businesses and the customer service does not hit, like I do now work at a case, so that's customer service, but it's way more chill. Like it's easier. Like if it's not about food and things people stress over the most, I feel like is their food, their shelter, water, the things they need to survive. And even when they go into a restaurant, their instincts all cave in around
Mhm.
the food.
Well,
They
when you go to a jewelry store, you're not hungry or thirsty or sleepy,
usually. So that's what I'm
usually.
saying, like, any type of retailer, you know what I mean? Like, food industry just hits differently. So
Mhm.
customers there hit a little differently. Some of them are great, and a lot of them are delusional. And almost 60%, I will allege, don't even read the menu and just ask
It's great.
stupid questions
It's
and
true.
prices. I've been working at Cracker Barrel for like 10 years. I'm not there to remember the prices. I'm there to remember what food is with what.
Right.
I don't know. Food industry, it just hits different. So I can see where it's not professional, but at the same time, nobody goes into food industry places and it's completely professional unless you go to like black tie type dining
Yeah,
area.
and I'm sorry, but, like, you go into a coffee shop acting like you get what you give. It's a coffee shop, like you said, it's not a five-star dining establishment, and even then, that doesn't give anyone a right to treat anyone like an asshole. You just
Exactly.
if you are a kind and pleasant person, people will generally be kind and pleasant back to you, especially when their paycheck depends on how much you like them.
Yeah. We're getting paid like $2 an hour, and that's tax. Most
Yeah,
servers in a lot of states, not all states, but a lot of states, they do not see a paycheck. Maybe you'll get some scraps every now and then if you're lucky, especially if you work
mhm,
like an hourly position for a second. I'm gonna do like 3 hours of hosting or I don't know. But
right.
most servers, for the most part, I won't say California or something, 'cause I think California makes like 15 an hour and then they get their tips, so they get a little bit better. But here it's like 2 something or 3 something and tips, but then you got like tips and taxes. Just be nicer to our service workers, and our service workers won't prank us.
Yeah,
Better a prank than them to actually all walk out and quit, you know what I mean?
right,
At least they're
right.
having fun with it. They could a lot of younger kids these days, especially in the food industry that I've been seeing, they just get frustrated and they quit and they don't go back to
Mhm,
food industry. And then who's gonna
mhm.
serve you or anything when they're
I
trying
mean,
to be
I've
building
even
themselves
seen
up?
that, like, working in college. I can't tell you when I was training how many new people when I was training to do, like, serving shifts and stuff, I would just turn around and they would just be gone.
Mhm.
Like, they would be on, like, their last day of training, have a couple of
Yeah.
tables on their own, and they're just like, "Bam, see you later." I mean, it's crazy. So, I think it takes a special kind of person to be able to survive in that type of environment, so
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing to be teaching people a lesson. I get what that lady says, it probably doesn't make your business look very great to be fake firing people, but it probably makes your business look great when people are firing people in front of you because you made a complaint. They're probably like, "Wow, these people really care about my coffee being hot."
Yeah. The thing
So,
people hate the most these days is that people aren't reacting in the amount of time that they want them to. So, there you
honestly,
go.
yeah.
You don't have to wait for no paperwork shuffle or nothing. It's right in front of you, action, taking it back, going back.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like there's good lessons here. I don't see the harm in it. As long as it's not gonna last forever, and I do wonder what the owner thinks of all this. I wanna find an update. I wonder if there was I was trying to find an update and couldn't find one, so to be determined, but I would
Mhm.
love to see if the owner ever found out that this was happening and what his reaction or her reaction was to that.
That would be
So,
fun.
oh, great. They were voted not the asshole, but there was
Good.
quite a few, "You're
Like
the
a mix.
asshole," or "Everyone's the asshole." Yeah, there was quite a few comments like that, but
I could entertain an everyone's the asshole, but I'm just not gonna call service workers who are being yelled at by idiots about coffee
mhm.
assholes. I'm just not gonna do it.
And it sounds like they only have, like, 3 workers on, and it's probably when they're busy and stuff. People,
Yeah,
you gotta be more observant
patient.
about your surroundings. Like, sometimes there's literally 1 or 2 servers, and then there's, like, a whole restaurante filled with people or cafe, and they're trying to take these orders, make some drinks, do this and that, and you don't really know what goes into their job. So, if you don't see many servers and they're not just standing around, they're not bored. They have
Mhm,
a lot
right.
of things that they're trying to juggle and do. Unless you see them standing around, because when your servers are bored, you know. You see them a lot. You see them a lot when they're bored. You see
Yeah.
them the most when they are bored. They, in
Mhm,
fact, struggle internally. Am I smothering these people? But I
mhm.
don't know what else to do, and if I keep standing back there, the management will randomly pop out of the office for no reason to be like, "You can't contradict, you guys."
That's when I always did the worst as a waitress was
When we're
when I was
slow.
bored because I would get
Mhm.
distracted doing little stupid pranks, not on the customers.
Exactly, and then it ruined my whole focus, and then when it would get fast again, I was thrown off. Yeah, it's just be more mindful if you're not already mindful of these things or worked in the industry or know a brave soldier or friend who has.
Yeah. Be kind, everyone. That is the ultimate motto for this story of the week.
And also, if you do enjoy getting people fired, then it's problem solved. You got to witness it. So
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
wins, really.
I like this one. It's a win-win. I
It's a
think the
win-win
customers are the
solution.
assholes, also feel like they won, so there's
We've had a
nothing
few
wrong here.
intense ones, so I love it for us.
Yes, a nice light one.
All right. Well,
But
catch you next time, Chick Chatters.
all right, chick chatters, see you next time. Thanks for
Bye.
joining.